before I bring Garry Cobb in, so this is right now what's going on in Philly. Tomorrow the combine start and you don't have your DC placed. Okay, so like, what are you shopping for your defense? Because you're going to have a ton of new faces on that side. You're going to have some faces on the offensive side. Javon Hargrave, according to Mike Florio, is the 5th highest rated free agent. CJ's 9, Bradbury's 12, TJ's 17, Fletcher's 28, Brandon Graham's 34, Sayamalo's 50. These are the top 100 free agents. The Eagles have 10 of them. Miles Sanders, number 73, Epps 92, and Kaiser White 98. And you've got compensation picks, and you got first 2-round picks, 10 and 30. What do you do? Awful lot of work to do. Let's bring our friend in, Garry Cobb, and get his thoughts. Gary, a lot of work for Howie.
Yeah, they got some big decisions to make. I think that, he, in the past, the thing I remember about him is he likes to trade down, because you get more picks. And I think that, you look at this situation, they need talent on that defensive side of the ball. They need young players that can come in and play. And then, if you look at Kansas City, they had all those young kids out there on defense. They just made it by the skin of their chinny chin chin, but they did it. They made it work where they were able to bring in these young kids, and you got 4 kids, 5 rookies over there playing, and you got all these kids, and the big thing is you don't want them breaking down. This is going to be a challenge. The talent, are they going to be able to come in and help you right away? Who can come in and help you right away? Now, you saw where they really redshirted the guys they drafted last year. They didn't have to play a long time.
All 3 of them.
All 3 of them. That's right. They were able to. They didn't need them. They had enough talent to where they didn't really need them a lot. So I can't say that about this group. No, these guys, they're going to have to be at least a number of them. I'd say 3 or 4. They got to come in and play. They need them to be able to come in and contribute. And that means having the mental toughness to be able to come in. You're not going to be winning every battle. When you get beat, how do you respond? All those type of things. So, that's why, you got to talk to a kid. You go do the homework. How does this kid respond when he gets beat? Because on the college level, maybe they weren't used to getting beat, and chances are they weren't. But on the pro level, you're not going to win every battle. But how do you respond? Are you the kind that can make adjustments during a game? That's a big thing that happens on the pro level. A lot of times on the college level, they're not making major adjustments during the game. Can mentally you be able to take information and process it immediately, during a game when there's pressure and, not everybody's ready for that. There are times I play with a guy say, don't say anything to him. Because hey, the guy might be not the sharpest tack in the box. Leave him alone. You're going to get him confused, But on the pro level, there are times you got to make adjustments during a game. Who can do that? How can, are you the kind of guy that's been able to play where you're able to look at formation?
You just slap me in the ass and go slide over to a 3.
That's right.
Guys today can't do that.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And see, certain guys, leave him alone because all you're going to do is confuse him. Some guy you can't even, don't even talk to him about that, because some guys, they can't handle it, But then there are other guys, they can process the information. They come in, they're the type of guy that's a smart player where he can process that information fast and be able to play fast.
Watch this. So, Gary, I got from Bledsoe and my friend Frank Reich sent me the top 32 players that are going into the draft. And I want to get your assessment. You've been around Howie a lot here.
Yeah.
They're going to be picking at 10. Here are the 10, but here are the 10 players that are going to be, or here's like the 4 players that are going to be around that 10th pick.
Okay.
Miles Murphy, edge, 6'5", 275. The number 11th ranked. This is going into the combines now, so this will probably change coming out of it. Devon Weatherspoon is ranked 11th, how he could trade down. There's 6 feet 180 Illinois corner. Joey Porter Jr. is ranked 12th at 6'2", 194 from Penn State. Right around, and then you got that kid Brian Branch, who's rated as the 14th highest rated player in the upcoming draft. He's a safety from Bama, another SEC guy, 6 feet 193. Couple things here, Gary. You could do this. You could re-sign TJ at a safety number at 14-4, slide him over to corner, draft this kid, slide down to 14, get another pick in the second or third, drop this kid who's played with Nick Saban at Alabama, drop him into safety, you get another pick, you get cheaper, instead of having to go out and sign Bradbury. And there you got Epps and this guy sitting back there, and all you had to pay was $14 million. And you get rid of the 2 defensive tackles in the middle. There's $30 million. You put Milton Williams, Jordan Davis, and maybe you go into free agent market and put a guy in there. I mean, there's ways of doing this. What do you think is the most likely avenue for Howie?
Well, I think, some of the things you're talking about, I think that, he's definitely going to go through that. I just think that, the whole thing is which one of these guys that are high ticket guys. And I think, because of Jalen, I don't know who they're going to re-sign. I mean, I don't think they can afford to re-sign guys that are going to cost, high ticket guys.
Did you think this would get done before the combines?
No, I didn't.
So they don't have the Jalen deal done before the combines, and they don't have the DC put in place, nor the OC. Are they behind this? Do you think they're behind so far?
There's no question that they are. I mean, the whole thing, you're going out picking players, and this is where a guy that has done something similar to what they want to do gets an advantage, and that's the guy that's probably going to get the job. Where I see this guy, I don't know, Sean Desai, who comes from the Fangio School of Defense and everything.
He's the assistant head coach now in Seattle. He's got a pretty good reputation around him.
I think he probably would be the guy that stays in the league, because you're going to want to stay with the same system. If you can stay with the same system, then there's certain things you don't have to do. You're not going to be under the gun as much when it comes to teaching a new system. You're already in the same system, and with the fact that they were consulting with Fangio, it looks like that's where I think they'd be leaning. And from what I understand, they're interviewing the guy again. So I think he's in the lead.
You think they could get this done by tonight? Again, the combine start. I mean,
I know, but
or how about this, Gary? Maybe this tells us a lot more about the influence that Howie has, because Howie's probably telling the new coordinator, hey, look, here are the pieces that I'm going to give you. Can you build this defense around it? So remember, Gary, help me out here. Do you agree Howie has more influence on Nick when it comes to picking the roster of coaches to coach his guys in the building? Or do you think Nick, because I've never really asked you this question, do you think Nick has as much say in who the position coaches are?
I think Howie's hands are in everything. He's got more power than he's had in the past, and I think Nick came in there with that understanding. I mean, so that's why bringing a guy like Nick, who comes in, he doesn't have this huge resume. He can't come in with a lot of power. And I think what has happened, and especially with the fact that, Howie's done a great job. I mean, coming off this season where he gets an award as Executive of the Year and all of that, Howard clearly has more power to where he's got his hands in just about everything.
Is that good or bad?
Well, without a question,
it's been successful, Gary,
so
in the way,
so far. But it can go, you can go over the top where the guy that's coaching, he's got to have he's got to have enough power to be able to feel like he can go do his job and everything. But, as long as you know what you're doing. Now, of course, it's so delicate to where, all of a sudden the guy can get where he's going over the line, but the whole thing comes down, are you winning? Are you winning? Coming off of this year, I can't. What can you say? You can't be that critical. I mean, they're a play away from winning the Super Bowl. So, you know, you can't really jump on them over that. So I would have to say right now, and this is why, and this is how I think that probably Jeffrey Lurie is playing. Hey, you see success, who's complaining? So I think Howie has more power, and he's clearly got his hands in everything. That's why I think what you were saying is that he could have a hand in picking the guy or at least influencing it. And then he says, hey, look, this guy knows this system, you know, then, you know, I think I could see where that guy would have a tremendous advantage over everybody else because all of them know the system this guy plays if he's going to continue what they were doing. So
here's something else. Let me ask you on the contract negotiations with Jalen. Do you think the failures of Carson Wentz and the Eagles giving that contract extension to Wentz helps or hurts the negotiation process? I said this, and you tell me if I'm wrong. I said what Jalen Hurts has done, he's kind of erased the mistake that the organization and the owner made, and he's validated the second-round pick, and he's validated that Gary all by winning and getting to the Super Bowl. So at the end of the day, I think it helps him more so than hurts him because everything they saw, Wentz is the antithesis of what you don't want. But what you want physical-wise, and Jalen's everything you want when it comes – just your take. That's kind of how I see it. Am I wrong? You've been around them guys a lot.
You know, I think you definitely are correct. You know, that the way this whole thing is played out in that, right? I mean, coming off, you know, what, you know, Carson is somebody they're high on, and they go and grab Jalen, you know, and the fact that they went ahead and made that move, you know, and the way it's worked out, I mean, I think it clearly gives them a lot of confidence that, hey, Jalen is the guy, and maybe even more so because of his personality, because of the way that he's so team-oriented. You know, I don't think that they want to bring a guy in like Carson anymore where, you know, you got a guy that can just go off the top to where he's trying to, you know, make these plays, which are just stupid, holding on to the ball, refusing to listen to anybody and all of that. You know, clearly Jalen is not that type of quarterback. Now, you know, going forward is something you're going to have to keep an eye on because he is human. And
I'm
making those bucks, but I mean, he's just been so sober about the fact that it's team. That's all he's been shouting with everything he's been saying that. And he's been very tough on the guys that, hey, we're about a team. We're going to work. We're going to do the grind. We're going to, you know, we're all about winning. All that matters is winning. Okay.
Is that agency saying that right now, Clutch Sports?
Hey, I don't think that agency is saying that.
I don't think that agency sees any team but Clutch Sports' team.
Hey, I think that, hey, they're coming in there. This is business.
No, they're coming in with empty bags of money. But there's all money bags, Gary, and they're going to go like this to you. Hey, you guys fill it up whatever you think we want to start with.
Hey, the thing is, if you could somehow get one of those little devices in there and be able to listen to those conversations and hear about the interaction between Jalen and them and where everything's at. And, you know, chances are, you know, he's a family guy. So, you know, his dad probably got he got some say in there.
Oh, yes.
You know, I mean, as he should. I mean, he's only like, what, 24 years old? I mean, so you got this whole thing playing out. It's probably very fascinating. But the thing is, you know, Jalen has come out. He's been loud about the fact it's all about team. Now, is he going to do that, you know, in this negotiation? I mean,
I could guarantee you that agency ain't going to be open.
No, they're not going to be crazy.
I want to throw this two last questions for you here. So, Gary, I said Jalen Hurts will no longer, and I'm going to show you what's going on in Dallas here. And I was just talking to everyone here about Dak Prescott. Jalen Hurts is never going to be compared to Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, or any of these guys ever again. He's always going to be compared, once he gets his money, to the guy in Kansas City. because the guy in Kansas City proves to you that he can lead a team with a lesser group of men. Yeah. That first Super Bowl, they had Honey Badger.
Yep.
They had Tyreek Hill. Yep. They had a running game. They had a better O-line. Well, as the money starts rolling in for the quarterback, you've got to carry him. Yep. And here's where the Cowboys are right now, Gary. The Cowboys came out today pre-combine and said, we got to have a contract extension for a guy who led the NFL in interceptions in Dak Prescott. He's going to have a $49.1 million salary this year, a $52.1 in 2024. That's unattainable and unsustainable in building a roster when you're paying that kind of money and you're not getting playoff results.
Yeah.
Gary, the Eagles could be here.
Yeah.
If they choose wrong and they start having, like what happened to Russell Wilson, Gary, in Seattle. All of a sudden, you start losing Lynch, you start losing Percy Harvin, you start losing dudes.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got to be right here.
Well, I mean, you're right. I mean, they have got to be on the money, and there definitely is going to be pressure there. Now, I do like the fact that where, Jalen is growing in his passing game, because he is going to have to carry more of the weight. They're going to have to, where he's going to be able to drop back. Hey, you got to get it done for us. And it's going to be interesting to see how the offense grows and how it is shaped. Because I don't think you can run him, but so much. I mean, if you got all this money on him, you can't afford him to get hurt. You can't be doing some of the things they did, which is like running the ball 17 times. Come on, man, you can't do that. And that's where you're going to have to rely on his quarterbacking from the pocket. And they've got receivers. They're going to have to say, hey, look, we're going to go drop back and go after people. So that's why it's going to be very interesting. But I think definitely gets that money. He's got to carry that team.
You know what? Finally here, and maybe I've been saying this the wrong way the whole time. It's not if a dual threat quarterback can win the Super Bowl. Let me ask you this. Do you think a $50 million a year quarterback can win the Super Bowl?
I think so. Because, and this is the
But thing. It hasn't happened yet.
No, it hasn't happened yet. The thing is, Howie's been able to do things, to sign guys, and he's got to sign some people using whatever loopholes or whatever, because all the guy cares about is his money. He don't care how you worked it till he gets his money in his account. But you got to be able to do that. And the other thing is they got to have a good draft. Howie's done a lot of things. Great drafter. I couldn't say great drafter.
Wait a minute, Gary.
Yeah.
He's never been able to draft a corner. He has not drafted a linebacker. I think Josh Sweat's good. I think he's getting better, but he's never drafted really an edge rusher. He's never really drafted a wide receiver. Devonta looks like it's the first.
Uh-huh.
I mean, Gary, all the stuff that he's ended up failing on, what did he do? He went into free agency, got Hassan Reddick.
That's right.
Got Bradbury.
Yep.
He even traded for Slay.
Yeah.
I mean, that whole entire secondary is not homegrown.
You're right. his strength has been negotiating contracts, being creative there, and he's been great at going out, getting and filling pieces with people, with guys that you already know can play. You got to have a great draft. He's got to show he can do that. I don't know, who he needs to bring in there, but you got to have a great draft. They got to draft guys that can come in and play right now, and they got to be talented that can play right now, and that's what they got to do, because they can't go out and get enough guys, that are aged. But he's got to be able to do. He's got to be able to do that. That's the part which he's got to show us.
Okay, I want to leave you on this one. I had Seth Joyner on last week, and I want to ask you, and Seth threw his name out for this, that he would be willing to be the D coordinator. And as I kept him on, he was on an hour and 40 minutes with me, Gary, and I know that's your boy.
Yeah.
But he also said if the right circumstances were there, he would even be the linebacker coach.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think he would be a fit? And do you think the Eagles should entertain, how about this, at least talking to him?
I definitely think they should talk to him. I mean, because, what is he thinking? I mean, clearly Seth has been around the game long enough to where you know, he's looking at it seriously. I mean, and been sitting there looking at the tapes seriously. And, you know, the thing is, he would bring in a mentality that would be more aggressive, you know, would do things. But I think they got to think outside the box. You know, I think they could do that. I mean, I think, you know, with the kid that they're looking at bringing, I mean, what is he? He's like 40 years old.
Yeah, he's a young guy.
He's a young guy.
I kind of know the guy a little bit, and Jimmy Johnson kind of said that he's got a lot of Belichick characteristics. He's a detailed guy.
Oh, yeah.
And what he'll do also, his biggest strength that Jimmy says is that he takes the personnel that's in the hat and creates a defense kind of like Jim Johnson used to and all them other guys. So he's kind of like a Dan Quinn kind of guy that's going to put the personnel in positions and not just plug and play.
Well, you know, that would be the kind of guy you need, because that's really
I don't
what
think he gets out of the building tonight.
Yeah. 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 You know, you could be right, because it definitely, from what I was looking at today, just looking at it and seeing the lay of the land, he's their guy as far as I'm concerned, because he comes in with the same system. He's a young guy. He's been around it a long time. And you could see with the fact that he's so close to Fangio that, you know, they've been talking. They've probably been on the phone, and, you know, they really want Fangio to, I guess they probably would have liked to have signed him if they knew everything that they know now. They can't get him. They get the next best, which is, you know, his assistant.
Absolutely. Garry, it should be interesting. Combine start tomorrow.
Yep.
Thank you so much for all your help always. Thank you, my friend.
All right. Have a good one.
You got it. That is the great Garry Cobb. By the way, Tone, that last comment by Garry talking about Seth, I'd love to have that, if I can, on the Twitter page too, over at JAKIB Sports and also at Dan Sileo show, because it's always good to have a guy who played the linebacker position, always giving, you know, reformation and always giving an opportunity to give a guy a push too. So Gary's for it as well. I'm for it. There's a lot of people that are for Seth Joyner at least getting a conversation with the Eagles. Hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.